Alex's days started like clockwork, coffee brewing by instinct, kids tumbling into the kitchen one after another. Max demanded waffles. Lily reminded him about dinosaurs, and Ethan, half awake, mumbled something about forgetting his Spanish homework. Their mom, Emily, appeared with a tray of bacon, breezing through the morning chaos with practiced ease. The scene was picture perfect: a tech-savvy dad, a warm kitchen, a life that made sense. But comfort can be deceptive. Later that night, a sound woke Alex, soft, uncertain. It wasn't the dishwasher, something else. He slipped out of bed and crept downstairs. All seemed still until he heard whispers coming from Emily's office. "You said you'd tell him after Max was born," a man said quietly. Alex froze. "I tried," Emily whispered. "But then he quit the bank. Everything was too fragile. I couldn't." That voice, Chris, his best friend, godfather to the kids. 13 years, Em, Chris continued. "They think I'm just Uncle Chris." Alex's chest tightened. He leaned closer, breath shallow. "I've kept this secret for so long," Emily said. "But Alex, he's their father. Not biologically, but in every real way. If I tell him now, it'll destroy them." Chris wasn't convinced. "The truth will come out. They sell DNA kits at grocery stores." "He won't take one," she said. "He trusts me." Alex almost laughed, bitterly. At work, he built systems on zero-trust architecture. At home, trust =, true. "I'm done hiding," Chris said. "You visit for holidays. I live with this every day." "We had love," he added. "Don't deny it." "I did love you," Emily admitted. "But now Alex is my husband." "Do you love him?" Chris asked. "I love how he loves our kids," she replied. "That's not the same." Then came the sentence that shattered everything. "Chris, Alex isn't their biological father, but he's the only dad they've ever known." Alex staggered back, sweat slicking his skin. "He can never find out," Emily said. Chris asked, "And if he does?" Her answer was soft, but final. "Then we lose everything." The truth hit Alex like a head-on collision. Without a word, he slipped upstairs. Emily's lavender-scented pillow offered no comfort. He sat at the edge of the bed, staring at the dark yard and the swing swaying in the wind. His phone blinked. 2:21 a.m. The sleep tracker's 8 hours felt like data from someone else's life. A sliver of light spilled under the office door. Minutes ago, that meant Emily was writing. Now it meant Emily was hiding. He buried his face in his hands, trying to process what he'd heard. DNA test? Confront her? Say nothing? A door slammed downstairs. Chris was gone. The house was quiet again, but not the peaceful kind. It felt haunted by things unspoken. Alex scanned the room. Photos, drawings, Lego bricks, ordinary pieces of family life. Now, clues in a lie he hadn't even known existed. That Niagara photo. Him holding the camera, Chris pressing the shutter. "Not the time," he whispered to himself. He lay down on the far edge of the bed. The glow from under the office door stayed on. Emily's words looped in his mind like a broken tape. He is not their biological father. The wind picked up. Rain hit the roof. His calendar, meetings, workouts, a 9 a.m. call, still sat in place, but none of it mattered. He heard the door creak. Emily's steps were soft. "Are you asleep?" she whispered. He stayed silent. She gently pulled the blanket over him, paused a second, then walked out. The light vanished. Darkness took over. Alex clutched the pillow like armor. Her final words still echoed, "He'll never know." But he knew. He barely slept. By sunrise, he was functioning on habit alone. Coffee brewed. He forced a smile at Lily's best dad ever sign. The kitchen smelled like French toast and citrus. Emily was already dressed, too early. Her phone lay face down, unusual. He handed Max his breakfast, pretending things were normal. But everything felt staged. After the kids left, Alex checked her office. Locked. That door was only ever locked for Christmas gifts. "Looking for something?" Emily asked from the stairs. "Phone charger," he lied. She pointed him to the living room. Her voice sounded rehearsed. Driving to work, Alex skipped his usual podcast. His mind kept circling the same question. How deep does this go? At a red light, a text from Chris popped up, something about Ethan's game and a smiley face. He ignored it. At the office, he ran a meeting like a man in autopilot, diagrams and terms flowing while his brain replayed old memories. Emily's pregnancy, Chris in every photo, calling each child his godson. After the meeting, Alex messaged a lawyer, casually, asking how to get a DNA test anonymously. Just for fun, he joked. But the reply came with a green checkmark. It was possible. Lunch was water. A coworker asked about his second coffee. Alex lied without blinking. The kids kept me up. Lying came easier now. Life had become theater. On the drive home, he spotted Chris's truck parked nearby. Alex waited, then hit record on the dash cam. Inside, Chris played table hockey with Ethan. Lily laughed nearby. It looked like a happy family, only there was one dad too many. Emily announced the oven was broken. Pizza night. Alex offered to drive. She sat up front. Chris and the kids piled into the back. In the mirror, Alex watched Chris buckle Lily in, slower than necessary. The mask was slipping, but Alex wasn't ready to take his off. In the pizza place parking lot, Alex forgot his wallet. Chris stayed in the car while Alex lingered at the curb, casually asking, "How've you been?" Chris shrugged. "Planes, projects. I'm flying to Austin tomorrow." "The kids will miss you," Alex said flatly. Chris chuckled, almost too quickly. "I'm not around that much." The line sounded rehearsed. That night, after the kids were in bed, Alex said he was going to shower. Instead, he slipped into Emily's office. The lock code, Ethan's birthday, came to him without thinking. Top drawer, pens and paper. Second drawer, a thick envelope, no label. Inside, Fairfield Genetic Services paperwork, dated to Emily's first pregnancy. The father field had been blacked out, but under a lamp, a name bled through, Hall. He took photos, slid everything back in place. As he stepped out, Emily called from the hallway. "Just checking the printer paper," he said casually. She stared a moment too long before nodding. Alex returned to the living room and sat with his laptop, not to code, but to document. A list. Whispers at 2 a.m., a locked office, upside-down phone, Chris knowing the kids' schedules too well, that envelope. He saved the file to the cloud, just in case. Sleep never came. He kept replaying what he saw. Maybe he imagined it. Maybe the name wasn't real. Maybe nothing meant anything. But each time doubt crept in, one image cut through. Chris, gently patting Ethan's shoulder in the car like it was second nature. By morning, Alex was in the kitchen lining up 2 glasses, one with cold coffee, the other with water and ice. Same weight. For some reason, that irritated him. Memories flooded back. San Francisco, 2009. The smell of burnt plastic and cheap pizza in a co-working space. He'd been panicking over a frozen terminal when a calm voice said, "Your FFmpeg crashed." A girl in a Google Summer of Code shirt leaned in, ran her finger across the error log, and added, "Lower the bitrate." The demo worked. They took second place. He didn't care. He only saw her, Emily Fourneau from Chicago. After the event, they skipped dinner and got coffee instead. They argued about Python, movie trilogies, and noir-sounding last names. By midnight, they had missed the last tram. He walked her to campus, then rode back in a cab, whispering her name to himself. A month later, he came home with a diploma and startup dreams. His mother, Susan, took one look and said, "You've lost weight. They don't feed you out west?" Dinner turned into a status report. She rattled off names of successful cousins and family friends, each story punctuated by a sharp glance at him. "Compare," she said. "Startups aren't stable." His dad hid behind the newspaper as always. Alex had hoped to introduce Emily to his parents without pressure, but on Christmas Day, 2009, the tone was set at dinner. Susan, smiling, asked, "What are your plans after graduation?" "Seeking funding," Emily answered calmly. "Any major investors?" "Not yet." "Will your parents help?" "My mom's a nurse. My dad passed." Susan nodded like she was making a note. "No guarantees. That's brave." Emily didn't flinch. "Some guarantees are paper, others are real. I prefer the latter." Later, Alex heard his parents whispering in the kitchen. His mom insisted he needed someone solid. His dad muttered something about love not being a balance sheet. Susan's phrase stayed with him. "I'm just testing the waters." Chris had entered Alex's life in college and never really left. His mom had always liked Chris, called him the practical counterbalance to Alex's head-in-the-clouds personality. At a family barbecue in 2010, Susan seated Chris next to Emily. "You two are kind souls," she said, smiling. "Talk about charity work." Alex thought it was harmless, but now he remembered that day differently, how he felt like the outsider in his own story. When he proposed to Emily, she wanted a simple ceremony under the apple trees. Susan overruled her. The Aldrich mansion was non-negotiable. A wedding is a company's public image, she insisted. Don't skimp. A week before the wedding, Alex overheard his mom on the porch. A wedding is a business plan. Pick your partner wisely. He'd assumed she was talking to his dad, but when he turned, she was looking directly at Emily, who stared back without blinking. Later, Emily joked, "Your mom's stress testing me, but I'm fine." He believed her. When Emily told him she was pregnant in 2012, he was overjoyed, carried her around the house, called his mom immediately. Susan showed up with onesies and a list of top pediatricians. Over dinner, she smiled at Chris and said, "If I'd had a friend like him during my pregnancy, I'd have slept better." It sounded sweet back then. Now it felt like a clue he hadn't caught. Alex's phone buzzed. A message from his mom. "Don't forget the VAH brunch. Hope Emily joins." He typed back, "We'll see," and shivered. A week ago, he'd have replied, "Of course." He walked over to his desk, opened an old email archive, and searched Chris. Dozens of messages. One from April 2011 stood out. "Thank you for supporting my idea, Al. Emily opens up around you. Alex is too logical to see the full picture. Let's keep rehearsal dinner informal." It wasn't just a message. It was a red flag he hadn't read in time. Buried in another email from his mother was a quiet bomb. She'd encouraged Chris to be there for Emily if she ever faltered, reassuring him that Alex, reliable as always, would play his part. It wasn't advice. It was strategy. Then came the final hit. 2 weeks before the wedding. "Room 414 is reserved. Discretion matters. He trusts you." Alex froze. The words blurred. His hands trembled. "She set me up," he whispered. The room felt thick, suffocating. He shut the laptop, opened a blank document, and titled it like an engineer. Written _root cause analysis. Bullet points followed. Dates, messages, motives. His mother's control. Chris's ego. Emily's ambition. He backed up the file, saved a copy to a flash drive, and stashed it in a Lego box like it was contraband. It was 2:40 p.m. time to pick up Max. The route was familiar, but Alex no longer felt like himself in the driver's seat of his life. He glanced at the "Best Dad Ever" sign taped to a shelf and tapped it, testing the glue, testing what still held. His father's old line echoed, "Keep an open heart, but build your own walls." It once felt quaint. Now it sounded like armor. He took the DNA test kit from the drawer, slipped it into his coat, and turned off the lights. He wouldn't confront anyone. Yet. Numbers first. Truth second. Then, whatever was left could burn. He closed the door behind him, leaving behind a house that now felt like a stage set for someone else's drama. The next morning came early. Coffee kept his hands busy, but his thoughts were still broken. His marriage had cracked on one side, his oldest friendship on the other. All that remained was cold clarity. For once, he worked at the desk in his home office. The chair was stiff, the laptop warm. His mind drifted backward. Chris Holton, the loudest guy on campus, rugby bruises, computer viruses, the life of every party. Everyone loved him. He lit up rooms, but behind the glow was mess. Late homework, traffic tickets, missed deadlines that he spun into firework finales. "Reliability is a spare tire," Chris used to say. The line got laughs until group projects added escape clauses to keep him from sinking the ship. Alex remembered one specific betrayal. In 2010, they pitched a startup at an incubator. Alex built the algorithm, Chris handled the pitch. At the last minute, Chris added a flashy PR budget that blindsided the panel. They lost the grant. Afterward, in the rain on Wahlberg Street, Alex confronted him. "Why did you change the numbers?" Chris waved it off. "You handle details. I see the big picture, no noise, no traction." They had a whiskey. Alex let it go. Looking back, it wasn't youthful recklessness. It was a pattern. Another memory surfaced. San Diego, 2011. He and Emily were at a conference. Alex caught a fever and crashed early. Emily tucked him in and went out. She came back late, smelling of sea air and spice. "Dinner with the gamification team," she'd said. The next morning, Chris texted, "San Diego rocks. Loved your tip about fish tacos." At the time, it seemed like coincidence. Now, it didn't. Alex logged into the telecom provider dashboard. 5 family numbers appeared. His, Emily's, the kids' tablets, and an old eSIM he once gave Chris just for a project. The card was technically inactive, but 2 weeks ago, between midnight and 1 a.m., it had sent nonstop texts to Emily every 3 to 5 minutes. He checked the location history. The sender's tower, 1 mile from their house. Same night, Emily claimed to be writing an article. The evidence was stacking up fast. He downloaded the data, encrypted it, and stored it deep inside a password-protected folder. Later that day, after dropping Lily off at school, Alex scanned through the family cloud, filtering for photos taken on Chris's camera. He knew Chris often uploaded them into the shared album. At first glance, they were harmless: barbecues, school plays, sports games. But the metadata told a different story. One Thanksgiving photo said it was taken in Long Island, miles from where they hosted dinner. Misfiled? Or intentionally misdated? Another showed Emily at a baseball game with the kids. Alex had been buying hot dogs. In the reflection of the food truck window, barely visible, Chris smiling. A woman's hand gently tucked his hair behind his ear. Alex zoomed in. The nail polish was coral pink. Emily usually wore clear. But a week earlier, she'd come home from the salon laughing about trying something new. That wasn't just a hand, that was another piece of the truth. That evening, the house was buzzing. Cartoons on the TV, Max with his fidget spinner, Emily slicing fruit in the kitchen. From the outside, everything looked picture perfect. Alex noticed the thick, leather-bound photo album on the couch, Emily's annual Christmas tradition. He sat down and flipped through the pages. Chris was in almost every shot, as godfather, coach, Santa. It used to feel like generosity. Now, it felt calculated. In photo after photo, Chris's eyes weren't on the kids or the camera. They were on Emily. Alex hid his unease and nodded when Max asked if he could cue up the next episode. His voice stayed steady. But later, in the kitchen, he quietly retrieved an old hard drive tucked behind the oven manual, college-era AIM and iChat logs long buried. He booted up an emulator and ran a keyword search through Chris's old chats. Pieces of conversation surfaced like sharp glass. She doesn't realize how much he's investing in her. He's funding our kids. Just a joke, don't panic. It wasn't a joke now. One message from 2010. Our kids landed differently. What once sounded figurative now felt horrifyingly literal. He leaned back in his chair, feeling the rupture settle in. His closest friend had become a stranger. Worse, an architect of betrayal. A memory flickered. Their graduation party in 2011. Alex told Chris he'd proposed. Chris had laughed, ordered 3 tequilas, and toasted to a friendship that can survive any secret. At the time, it felt playful. In hindsight, it was foreshadowing. By dawn, Alex was hunched over a sheet of paper, mapping out the connections. In the center, Emily plus Chris. Branches spread outward, late-night texts, metadata on family photos, college chats, emails from his mother. He tagged each line. Confirmed, suspected, needs proof. The mind map looked like a digital forensics case. Only this time, the target wasn't a hacker. It was his life. A message buzzed on his phone. Hey, brother. I'll swing by this weekend with gloves for Ethan. Sound good? Alex stared at the word brother until it blurred. He started replying, paused, erased, typed again, erased. Then he hit cancel, flipped on do not disturb, and stepped away. A half-drunk coffee sat cooling nearby. He lifted it, burned his lip, and flinched, not from the heat, but from memory. Max's first birthday. Chris had brought a comically large baseball bat. Everyone laughed, except later, Alex caught him whispering to Emily by the cake. She smiled, eyes down. At the time, it seemed harmless. Now, every moment was suspect. The past was unraveling, thread by thread. Alex kept up appearances, school runs, work calls, smiles for family photos. But internally, his clock ran on a different schedule now. Gather, confirm, secure. He wouldn't confront. Not yet. Not without everything in hand. By Monday afternoon, he walked into a gray-walled office on the 20th floor in Stamford. A sign read, Holt and Falk Investigations, Forensic and Domestic. A woman with a tight bun and a detective's energy met him at the door. I'm Miranda Holt. Alex dropped a folder labeled Trust = False on her desk. I want facts. Quietly, no leaks. Who's under the microscope? She asked. My wife and my best friend. She didn't blink. Classic triangle. What's your scope? Full month, start today, DNA, phone logs, surveillance, budget's fine, discretion's non-negotiable. Sign here, she said. This could change your whole life. He signed. His hand only shook once. That evening, he stopped by the office of Aaron Lewis, an old friend turned lawyer. The place looked more like a study than a firm. Dark wood, legal degrees, a toy basketball hoop. Is this paranoia? Aaron asked. Or do you have real dirt? Alex dropped a stack of printed messages, photos, and spreadsheets on the desk. I want to protect the kids and the money, set up a trust, audit the accounts. If this thing explodes, I want firewalls already in place. Who's your auditor? Gladys Chang. She's a bloodhound in a calculator's body. Quiet rollout? Stealth mode, Alex confirmed. Nobody jumps the gun. Aaron raised an eyebrow. So we're at war? No, Alex said. We're pretending not to be. That night, under the glow of his desk lamp, Alex unboxed 2 more DNA kits, delivered discreetly by a courier robot. Each had a sterile swab and QR code. He labeled the boxes: Ethan, Lily, Max. The duffel's coming with me in the morning, he muttered. The plan was airtight. Tell Lily it was a biology project. Tell the boys it was part of a secret startup experiment. Kids wouldn't ask. The lab wouldn't tell, but soon the numbers would speak, and when they did, the silence would end. The alert on Alex's phone buzzed. 2 files from Miranda. One was a geolocation log showing a pattern. Chris's truck visiting the same remote ranch 4 times in 2 weeks. Half an hour after each visit, Emily's white Audi pulled up to the gate. The second file? Photos. Clear enough to identify them both. Alex encrypted the image and tucked it into a locked folder. A 16-character password secured it, just in case. The next morning felt normal. Emily was cooking, Max was sketching robots, and Lily chatted about the school fair. Alex quietly slid DNA test kits into their backpacks. What's this? Ethan asked. Science class preview, Alex replied with a casual grin. Emily raised an eyebrow but let it go. Just another fun experiment from her overly curious husband. Alex met her eyes, smiling, hiding the truth with practiced ease. Later, in a glass conference room at work, Alex signed off on a delayed product release while texting his forensic accountant under the table. Fidelity dividends are rerouted to Emily's shadow account. $23K annually, Gladys wrote, tracing all unlogged transfers. Another message followed. Samples received, labeled A, B, C, Emily's Audi back at the ranch. 2 figures spotted. And then, Chris's cloud account? Paid for with your mom's credit card. Alex slammed his laptop shut. A coworker glanced over. He faked a yawn. Crunch time. No sleep. That night smelled like pizza. The kids were laughing at TikToks. Emily handed him an unmarked envelope. Yours? Probably a fun statement, he shrugged, slipping it into his pocket. Later, alone, he opened it. Inside was a flash drive from his lawyer with a proposed asset split. 60% for the kids, 20% in reserves, 20% liquid. A note read, "Click when you're ready to stop hiding." He locked the drive in the safe and added the key to the chain with his wedding ring. The metal clicked coldly. More intel arrived. Drone footage revealed a playground at the ranch, identical to theirs. Same swing set, same slide, same logo. Why recreate it? Alex asked. People need decoys, Miranda replied. If Susan paid for it too, that's your checkmate. The ranch wasn't a home. It was a counterfeit version of his life. Wednesday morning, after school drop-off, Alex met with a wealth advisor. A protective trust, the man explained. Shielded in divorce, controlled until the kids come of age. No court orders, just signatures. Alex signed. He remembered Emily once saying, "This is where we'll grow old together." Now he just wanted distance. Then came a message from Chris. Flying to Chicago. Bat's with you. Give it to Ethan. Alex deleted it unread. That night, new footage arrived. 37 hours of surveillance. In one clip, Chris checked the grill and playground. Minutes later, Emily pulled in with cider and grocery bags. Chris touched her waist. Alex didn't flinch. The hurt had long since calcified. He saved the file under ranch_core_evidence.zip, then opened a spreadsheet. One red cell, WhatsApp data still pending. Be patient, Miranda advised. They'll slip when they think you're blind. Alex didn't sleep. He wrote code until 4 a.m., logic lines that cleared his head. Then, on a blank page, he listed 6 goals. 1. Confirm DNA 2. Retrieve mansion records 3. Crack WhatsApp 4. Finalize trust 5. Track Susan's payments to Chris 6. Hire a child psychologist. That last one hit hardest. The kids still laughed. But truth shatters innocence, and he'd need help softening the blow. At 5 a.m., the lab report came in. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, none matched Alex's DNA. None of them were biologically his. He didn't fall apart. That moment had passed. Now, he just took inventory. He texted Miranda, "Proceed." Then Lewis, "Open the drive." The war had begun. Not in court, not online, but in silence. Strategy, not emotion. Clarity, not panic. Alex now kept 3 calendars. Family, birthdays, games, doctor visits, work, product launches, investor calls, freedom ops, the covert one. LLCs, funds, firewall moves. On the surface, he looked like any exec. Underneath, he was staging a controlled exit. His attorney arranged a meeting with a top-tier firm in Manhattan. From a skyscraper overlooking the Hudson, Alex reviewed the strategy. Assets offshored, shares moved to an Irish custodian, NFTs secured in Liechtenstein. Legal, clean, audit-proof. This wasn't overkill, it was defense. Emily had Susan behind her and an incoming team of expensive attorneys. If he didn't lock it down now, the cost would be everything. Through a proxy, he bought a Westport townhouse under a Wyoming shell, North Cedar Holdings LLC. Technically ownerless, practically his. He named it Studio in his phone. It would be his fallback, quiet, hidden, and untouchable. By Friday, he'd finalized the Carlyle Legacy Trust. It now held 60% of his startup, most of the bonds, the crypto wallet, and every cent from his IP royalties, all locked in for the kids. When Max recently asked, "Does my name sound like a superhero?" Alex had smiled and said, "Names make stories special." Now the trust was their invisible shield. But protecting wealth wasn't enough. He had to clean it too. In a private Zoom, he walked the CFO through a pitch deck that framed a strategic buyout as a smart move. While it looked like prep for a Series B, Alex was loading every critical doc into a virtual data room. If this company needed to become liquid, it would be fast and surgical. Meanwhile, Gladys Chang, the forensic accountant, combed through the family accounts. 6 charges showed up on Emily's card, $900 each to Briarwood Counseling. Supposedly couples therapy. The address, the ranch Miranda Holt had already tracked. The account, paid via Susan Carlyle. The pieces clicked. Emily and Chris weren't hiding. They were being funded. Alex took out a $20 million key person insurance policy with the kids' trust as beneficiary. If things blew up, no one could touch it. He wasn't just preparing for betrayal, he was making it irrelevant. Midweek, Miranda delivered months of messages between Emily and Chris. One recording chilled him. While Alex read the kids a bedtime story, the pair had whispered, "Susan thought of everything. Alex lives in numbers." He hit pause. They were right, but they didn't realize he'd been using numbers as his most powerful leverage long ago. At night, the new townhouse still smelled of paint and plaster. On the kitchen island, he placed a gray notebook and the safe box code. He wrote a short list: finish due diligence, secure LOIs from banks, finalize guardianship terms, move kids' insurance to trust, bring in a child psychologist disguised as a school project. Notebook closed, magnet clicked into place. The next day, Miranda texted a heads up. Susan was throwing a luncheon for Chris's charity, a soft launch into the public eye. Alex responded by instructing Lewis to file for a sealed divorce, citing irreparable breakdown and potential fraud. By Monday, the papers were in the courthouse, a digital copy locked in the North Cedar vault. That evening, the CFO confirmed 2 offers, $120 million and $128 million for a controlling share. Alex responded politely. In his mind, he was already dividing the numbers. Even halved, the money would secure each child's education, future, and freedom. Just knowing it was real brought oxygen. That night, standing by the window with the city glowing beneath him, Alex thought of what was next. He'd soon give Miranda his cloud passphrase. The psychologist's report would follow. Then, the first closed hearing. Yet everything at home would appear untouched. Pancakes, school drop-offs, laughs over breakfast. But beneath that surface now lived a hidden fortress. Trusts, shell companies, encrypted logs. The only word etched inside its walls, freedom. By Thanksgiving, the air smelled like wet leaves and chimney smoke. Alex set the turkey down, checking that the cutlery aligned. 3 forks left, knife and spoon right. 3 candles burned low. Between them, white envelopes sealed with dark blue wax, one for every adult. The front door burst open. Max raced in, waving a perfect acorn. Lily carried her dinosaur book. Ethan held a signed baseball. Emily entered with Susan and Mark. He, expressionless. She, all smiles. "The turkey's perfect," Emily said, breathing in the aroma. She noticed the envelopes, but didn't ask. "We'll open them after the toast," Alex said, calm and even. Chris arrived 10 minutes late. His pickup's low hum rolled into the driveway. He walked in with a box of wine and another bouquet of rosemary. "Happy Thanksgiving, family," he said, aiming for charm as he stepped toward Emily. Alex intercepted the box. "Thanks," he said coolly. "Wine goes on the sideboard." Chris hesitated, smiled, then slid into his seat between Lily and Mark. His envelope sat in front of him. He glanced at it once, then looked away. Dinner was quiet as everyone took their seats. The kids expected a joke from their dad, like always, but Alex stood too still. "Every Thanksgiving, we talk about what brings us together," he began. "But this year, I want to thank the truth, even when it arrives late." Susan stiffened in her chair. "Alex, the kids—" "They'll hear it," he said, reaching for a stack of envelopes. "Lily, Max, Ethan, this is a family dinner. I need a moment with the adults, and then we'll eat. Sound fair?" The kids nodded, curious but calm. He passed the envelopes around. Emily, Chris, Susan, and finally one for Mark, who hesitated before taking it. Emily frowned. "What is this?" "Answers," Alex said. "Please open them." Wax cracked, paper rustled. Susan saw copies of her emails to Chris, followed by hotel bookings, therapy invoices, cloud storage receipts. Every line was a fact, not a word wasted. Chris found DNA results, charts, numbers, clinical stamps, all zeros in the paternity column. He looked like he might speak, but dropped his gaze instead. Emily's envelope was thick. Inside, court notice of divorce, trust paperwork for the kids, and an asset sale agreement transferring the company to the new Carlisle Legacy Trust. On top of the final page, a handwritten line. "I offered peace. Everything you need is here. All I asked for was honesty." Her breath caught. She pressed her hand to her throat like air had suddenly thinned. "Alex," she whispered, "can we talk later?" "There is no later," he said calmly. "There's just now. The truth is that the three of you," he glanced at Susan and Chris, "have been scripting my life behind my back. I'm not yelling because you were counting on yelling. I brought paperwork because you counted on silence." Susan tried to regain control. "I was protecting the family." "No, you were chasing a fantasy, Mom. You sold my foundation to someone else and taught me to love lies." Mark finally spoke, voice low. "Susan, you knew?" "I thought it was better for everyone," she replied weakly. "For who?" Mark stared at his envelope as if it held more than just pages. Chris inhaled. "Alex, I didn't—" "Save it for the lawyers," Alex cut in. "You'll need one." He turned to the kids. "You did nothing wrong. You're the reason any of this matters." Max raised his hand. "Dad, the turkey's getting cold." Alex smiled gently. "You're right, buddy. Turkey shouldn't suffer for adult mistakes." He carved the bird with surgical calm. Around the table, no one spoke, but no one left. The weight of hidden things had landed squarely in the open. Emily wiped her cheeks. Susan stared down. Chris shifted his chair away slightly. Mark drank water in one long gulp. Alex picked up his own envelope. Inside was only a photo. Him with the kids at Niagara Falls, frozen in a moment of happiness. He turned it face down on the table. "Let's eat," he said quietly. Dinner restarted heavier than before, but the children still ate with appetite. Gratitude, it seemed, had roots that ran deeper than betrayal. At 9:57 a.m., the deal closed. 3 digital signatures and $128 million instantly moved into trusts, legal reserves, and anonymous accounts in Zurich and Singapore. In a quiet bank office, Alex leaned back in his chair. Lewis gave a subtle nod. It was done. The divorce had been finalized the day before. Emily kept the house and half the visible assets in exchange for silence. Susan signed off to avoid an investigation into her foundation. Chris disappeared, resurfacing somewhere in Denver where no one called him Godfather anymore. A black Tesla waited outside. The driver wasn't his. Alex climbed in and said one word: "Airport." From the jet, New York faded into a blur. He messaged the kids. Calm, brief notes. Lily got a private reading subscription. Max received a mailing address for comics. Ethan got a crypto key locked to open at 18. The first stop was Lisbon. Tiled roofs, narrow streets, sea breeze. He walked like a local, lived anonymously. The Wi-Fi was locked, the VPN routed through Singapore. Mornings began with coffee and pastel de nata. The Atlantic murmured nearby. His new name was Mark Lancaster. But to 3 kids across the ocean, he was still Dad. At night, he coded as Blue Delta, quietly contributing to encryption software. No one knew the anonymous dev once ran a 100-person tech firm. He didn't vanish. He just deleted his trail. Once a month, a burner phone pinged through Tor, just enough for his lawyer to confirm he was alive and reviewing medical and tuition updates. No social media, no email, no trace. 3 months later, he moved to Vietnam. A beachside co-working space in Phu Quoc became home. He built a prototype firewall, drank sugarcane juice, and answered to George Ray. His therapy was routine: dawn swims, 40 task days, and Bitcoin stashed in razors and safes. In January, Lewis emailed an update. Ethan hit a home run. Lily won a science fair. Max filmed a short movie. Alex played the clip on loop. The voice yelling, "Cut!" one more time sounded just like his. The ache didn't break him. It hardened into silence. By spring, he settled in Kyoto, a small wooden house with a moss garden. He cooked, studied knife skills, and went by Takeshi Morris. No more family calendar, just the corporate one and Quiet Horizon, a renamed shell of Freedom Ops. Reminders still popped up. Pay Lily's tuition, renew Ethan's insurance, extend travel visas. He stayed present in their lives, even without a name. Sometimes he imagined catching their laughter in passing. He never did. The past lived behind layers of firewalls and oceans. Freedom, he realized, wasn't peace. It was absence, without noise or mirrors. On the one-year anniversary of the deal, Alex climbed Inari Hill. Kyoto spread out like origami below. On a wooden tablet, he wrote, "May those I love live more honestly than I did." He hung it with a steady hand. The old dinners, envelopes, and silences drifted further away. The scent of burning pine replaced regret. There would be no rewinding, just clarity. He descended slowly. Somewhere in his encrypted archive, the next destination waited. The past was closed in a folder called 2008. Months later, a quiet headline ran in Connecticut. Anons Capital launches $400 million Northeast Tech Fund. Managing partner, C. Lancaster. No photo. Bio, Stanford grad, few patents, early retirement. Rumors circled. The elusive Mr. L drove a gray Defender with no plates. Tipped in cash, declined interviews, never used a phone. Read Japanese novels on an old e-reader. From her fading estate, Susan watched the news. Once a queen of galas, now shunned after misusing donation funds. No one returned her calls. Her son didn't visit. Emily had gone back to her maiden name, Thorne. Her startup died after the scandal. She taught night classes and lived on alimony. When she turned down a mystery investor offering total control, she said, "Capital without a face is poison." No offers came after that. The kids, now teens, split time between homes. Alex had summers. The trust paid quarterly, guided by code, not mood. Mark, the one who had vouched for everyone, was quietly pushed out. No charges, but his reputation evaporated. He sold the boat, moved above a dock shop, and traded wine for varnish. By midsummer, the tech park got its name, Niagara Labs. Its logo mirrored an old family photo taken at the falls. At the ribbon cutting, there was no Mr. Lancaster. A sharp-suited Kenyan exec presented the $40 million check, praised second chances, and stepped back. In the crowd, a tall man in a charcoal suit and baseball cap stood silently, unnoticed. Just long enough to listen, then gone. Emily saw him by accident. She was leading students through the new tech campus when a familiar figure caught her eye. Shoulders slightly hunched, fingers slipping a notebook from his jacket to scribble something quickly. Her breath caught, but before she could be sure, he disappeared behind the elevator doors. That night, she sent a message. "The new lab is incredible. I want to show the kids what real giving looks like." The response came from a lawyer. Message received. Susan tried her own route. Contacts from the university board. She requested a meeting with Mr. Lancaster. A week later, a formal reply came back. The financial committee sees no strategic alignment with her organization. Frustrated, she called a broker, asking for the name behind the foundation. The next morning, the answer came: Quiet zone regulations prohibit disclosure. In fall, Niagara Labs featured portraits of its first grant recipients. Among them, Lily Carlisle, now a junior in bioinformatics. Her research? Stress markers in adolescence. The Fairfield Life paper interviewed her. "This grant proves the past doesn't dictate the future," she said, smiling like someone who'd learned restraint young. The tech park hosted a winter benefit to announce a new internship program. Chandeliers sparkled above white tablecloths, an orchestra played, and donors mingled with local officials. Emily arrived in navy blue, reserved but steady. Her name tag read Emily Thorne, Uyux. As she looked up, her eyes locked onto a man in a gray half mask. The tech ball dress code, yes, but the jawline was unmistakable. The room dimmed. Then the founder himself appeared on stage. No mask. Tuxedo immaculate, a small silver mitt pin on the lapel. His hair was darker, but graying. His voice, lower, more tired than the one that once said, "Let's not make a fuss." 7 years ago, I learned both code and family require transparency, he began. Today, we're giving that back to this city, a place where second chances can be built. Silence. Then applause. Susan paled in her seat. Mark wasn't there. He was already in detox. But later, in a clinic break room, he would watch the stream on repeat, cup of bitter water in hand. Emily moved toward the exit, intercepting Alex before the crowd could. Her mask hid most of her face, but not her eyes. "You came back," she whispered. "The city needed me," he replied. "But what about us? You wanted presence. I needed freedom." She nodded. She already knew. "I applied to your foundation." No one made the connection? "Best candidates go through the process," he said, voice gentler. "Submit your portfolio. The team will decide." She gave a polite smile, her fingers tightening around a forgotten glass of wine. Susan tried to rise, but stayed seated when Alex's eyes met hers, calm, unreadable. She looked down, defeated. Later, Alex disappeared again. The Defender pulled into the night, reflections from the gala flickering across its windows. Only the alert observer would notice. He was speaking with the driver using hand signs. No words, no noise. The next morning, papers were filled with headlines about the tech billionaire revitalizing Fairfield. One journalist noticed Lancaster was an anagram for Carlisle N. He drafted a story. The editor killed it. "Leave it. The region needs his money more than it needs his ghosts." The meeting was held in a Brooklyn loft, Anansa's minimalist co-working space. Concrete floors, bare walls, a wooden table, no PR, no staging. Just 4 chairs and a pitcher of water. Lily entered first, shorter hair, sharper eyes, a laptop and binder labeled Epigen under her arm. Ethan followed, varsity jacket slung over one shoulder. Max, now taller than his father, wore a loose shirt and a pixel robot tattoo. No hugs. A nod from Lily, a half wave from Ethan. Max kept his hands in his pockets. Alex gestured for them to sit, but remained standing. "Thanks for coming," he began, voice dry. "I know it wasn't an easy choice." Lily opened her laptop. "We're here because we agreed to stop pretending. No more press statements, just real answers." Ethan smirked. "And because someone sent business class tickets." Max nudged him, but Alex didn't flinch. "I didn't call to apologize," he said. "That's part of the conversation, but not the point. I'm here to explain what's next." Max looked out the window. "Little late for that." Lily tapped her screen. "Let's skip the guilt spiral. We're adults. We were loved by 2 men," she continued. "One was our biological father, the other was you. They both disappeared. We survived, but now we want clarity." She pulled out a page. Ethan sighed. "We doing a press conference now?" "No," she said coolly. "We're doing structure." Alex raised his hands, signaling his agreement. "Structure's fine." Lily didn't wait. "First question, why vanish instead of staying and facing it with us, even if it hurt? We thought you'd be stronger than that?" Alex leaned in, fingers locked. "Back then, all I had was enough courage to protect what I could. Everything legal and financial was against me. I spent 13 years believing I was building your future. When the truth came out, I chose to disappear, secure your path, avoid more damage, and let you grow without conflict." Ethan's voice tensed. "You chose for us. Just like always, all we had was silence and a crying mom." Max cut in louder. "I found out from classmates. Tabloids never sleep. Thanks, Dad." The word hit like a crack. Alex kept his tone steady. "I hear your anger. I couldn't protect and explain at once, but now we have time and clarity." He pulled 3 envelopes from his case, setting one before each. "Not checks. These are trust summaries. Report your plans and support people. No conditions, no signatures. This is your resource, not my control." Lily glanced at hers, eyebrows lifting. Ethan ripped his open and let out a whistle. Max left his untouched. "Trying to buy forgiveness?" Max asked. "No, it's repayment for the years I stayed away." Lily shut her laptop. "Next, why return as Lancaster instead of as yourself? The city needed funding, not drama. Lancaster is a tool. You are my name." Ethan slipped the papers back into the envelope. "At my first game, I saw a man in the stands in a dark cap. I didn't know it was you. You could have said something." "I didn't want to drag you into old headlines," Alex replied. "Now that they've moved on, that's why I'm here." "No cap." Max finally opened his, flipping through slowly. "So I get 3 years to study art anywhere, no pressure? Sounds like permission to fail." "Exactly," Alex said. No instructions. But if you ever need backup, there's a 24/7 line. Silence hung. Outside, trucks rumbled. Subway wires buzzed overhead. Lily broke it. We talked to Mom. She admitted she acted out of love, but caused harm. She lost a lot, Max added. But we can't fix her choices. Alex nodded. I'm not asking you to take sides. I want a life without secrets, blame, or hiding. Ethan looked at his siblings. I've got an idea. Let's start something together. Clean slate. Niagara Labs needs a youth sports program. I can lead the coaching. Alex raised a brow. Cyber fitness incubator? Exactly, but it'll go through the council, not just you. Max laughed. Family pitch beats any startup deck. Lily reopened her laptop. My research team needs athletes to study stress responses. It's a perfect overlap. The brothers clapped. Lily rolled her eyes, smiling anyway. Alex watched them, unfolding again after years of silence. If we're starting fresh, how about burgers? I remember fights over who could eat the most fries. Ethan stood and stretched. New challenge. No smart rings, though. Don't want my vitals showing up in Lily's charts. Coward, she said. I'm bringing my laptop, just in case brilliance strikes. I just want food, Max added. No trauma attached. They headed to the door. Alex followed, watching their movements. Lily debating, Ethan grinning, Max joking about sauces. It didn't feel like closure. More like the first page of a new chapter, unedited, unfiltered. At the door, Lily turned. Dad, she said, not cold, not formal. Thanks for showing up. Paper matters, but eyes matter more. Alex nodded. Thanks for letting me try. The street buzzed around them. The elevator thumped like a period, but the sentence went on. Later, Alex invited them to his new place near Westport. Simple setup. A desk, couch, kitchen island. On the table, 3 identical folders. No lawyers today, he said. You get 2 choices. Stay in my life or walk away. No pressure. Lily sat first, didn't touch the folder. I'm staying. Let's make visits routine. Put birthdays on the same calendar. She offered her hand. Alex took it. Ethan paced, opened his folder, read. Training plans, camp schedules, a therapist's contact. I'll lead the project, he said, but I need time before family stuff. I'll decide in a few months. Your call, Alex replied. No reminders. Max stood by the window staring at his phone. I'm not angry. I'm just blank. Give me space. Okay, Alex said. Call whenever. No explanations needed. Max nodded and left. The door closed without a sound. 2 weeks later, Lily proposed monthly dinners. They picked a Sunday. 3 months later, Ethan emailed, Junior team's looking solid. Let's talk camp. They met at the stadium. Ethan was steady. At the end, he said, I'm not here for money or projects. I want to know you. Then we start with practice, Alex said. No big speeches, just handshakes and drills. Max stayed quiet for almost a year. Then, one night, Alex got an email. Need help with a game I'm building? Can we talk? On the call, Max was all business. Code, graphics, gameplay. Before hanging up, he said, Thanks, Dad. Calm. No edge. Always here, Alex replied. A month later, Max came to dinner. He sat next to his father. During dessert, he said, Consider me back. No drama. Alex just nodded. They met often now, over dinners, workouts, research updates, and game development talks. Each had made their choice in their own time. Lily right away, Ethan after some space, and Max only when he was ready. For them, biology mattered less than someone who showed up and stayed. Alex had no expectations, only presence. And that was enough. The kids decided for themselves who counted as Dad. They marked the 3rd Saturday in June as Family Day. No holiday attachments, just a neutral date they all agreed on. Lily liked that it fell between semesters. Ethan appreciated it didn't overlap with sports. Max just wanted warm weather and good street food. Alex said yes to all of it. They held it on the rooftop terrace at Niagara Labs, a clean concrete space with glass panels, foldable tables, and portable grills. Drinks chilled on one side. Max set up laptops and VR gear on the other. No outsiders were invited, just the Carlisle Thorne crew and a few close friends. Lily came early with salad and a flash drive presentation. Ethan rolled in with sports gear and a training plan, though he wasn't there to coach. Max brought a speaker and his latest VR headset. Alex made steaks and cake. No candles, no speeches. This was not about ceremony. Once everyone had arrived, Alex opened the gathering. 2 rules. First, bring something that reflects your year. Second, when we wrap up, we only add what we truly want to next year's calendar. Lily went first. Her lab had secured approval to start clinical trials. She kept it brief, but proud. Thanks to the Foundation for the tech. And thanks to my dad for staying patient when the numbers weren't making sense. Ethan showed off a bat signed in gold. His juniors had won regionals. He handed it to Max as a nod to digital victories. Max responded with a shoulder tap and launched his game demo. A clunky robot hauled materials through a virtual tech park. The graphics were rough, but Lily and Ethan laughed at the familiar layout. Next version gets a lab and a sports field, Max said. Then Alex handed out cards. Lily, plan a fall conference talk. Ethan, lock down dates for youth camp. Max, get the VR tour ready for open day. And if someone changes plans, we erase it. You keep your own card. As the sun went down, they fell into rhythm. Ethan took over the grill. Lily set the table. Max adjusted the sound. Below, city lights flickered on like fireflies. They chatted about research, summer plans, and sports. There were still sharp moments, like when Ethan muttered something about Mom being brilliant when she's not making excuses. But no one argued. Everyone had talked to Emily. She had sent a group message, I love you. They replied politely. That was enough. The past had its place, but didn't interfere anymore. Later, Max hooked a drone feed to the projector. Fairfield sprawled across the wall. New lights, new neighborhoods, a growing campus. City's growing faster than projected, Lily noted. Because it got a good coach, Ethan said, then spinning his glass. Just like we did. Alex stood near the edge, watching them. Through the glass, the night wind barely stirred, but the hum of the city rolled upward in waves. His kids were debating VR models, fine-tuning game mechanics, and teasing each other about checkpoints. No cameras, no audience, just them. Max came over and handed him a controller. Test this for me? Want to make sure the gesture tracking's solid. Alex took it. Lily lifted a tablet. After that, I'll need your sign-off on the biobank report. Ethan raised his phone. And don't forget, practice starts at 7 tomorrow. I swore you wouldn't be late. Alex looked at each of them. No big declarations were needed. This was it, belonging by proof of presence. He stepped back and took in the drone's view. The city was still rising. Nice view, Ethan said. Even better company, Alex answered. He moved the controller. On screen, a virtual robot laid down the first beam of a new level. Beyond the terrace glass, real cranes lifted panels under the stars. Alex felt solid. Not alone. Never again, because they had chosen this. Chosen him. The evening wound down with simple things. VR tweaks, report signatures, training schedules. But under it all was something lasting. Evidence that freedom and connection don't cancel each other out.